The topic of today's rant, casual rant, is why do the most stacked individual rosters in any sport, in any esport, and anything just seem to like never work? In the Siege example, I think in most people's head, it would be probably Shopify Rebellion. They have Sploit, which is like this insane talent, million subscriber YouTuber, just crazy aim. They have Troy Canadian, who is the greatest IGL, or pretty kind of unanimously described as the greatest IGL of all time. Won in 3 different eras with 3 different teams, multiple world champions, won the first world championship with the Continuum, the 2020 world championship, 6 invitational with SSG, and the 2022 Charlotte Major with DZ, kind of like LeBron longevity, and then they have Ambi and Rexon, which are just absolutely insane players. Right, and I think a lot of people have been saying this because of the recent results. So if you look at the recent results, they got 12th to 14th at the Munich Major, and they didn't even make it past the group stage into playoffs because they lost to Weibo and NIP, which a lot of people, I guess, didn't expect to happen. But if you look across the history of like various different esports, if you think of like FaZe in CS:GO, if you think about PSG in soccer when they had, I think it was like Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, right? When you think about Brooklyn Nets, when you think about like FaZe and CS:GO before like the first iteration of FaZe and CS:GO, these rosters typically don't work, like these super rosters. And so that's the common question I always get asked, is like from a pro, because I'm previously professional coach, for anyone that hasn't seen any of my videos before. It's like, why does that happen? Why is it? Bro, where the fuck is this guy? Let me find this guy first. Is he just AFK and spawn? Oh no, he's still there. Oh, yeah. People just ask me a lot of the time, like, why that happens. Because I've seen a lot of these rosters come and go, and I've, like, actually heard about things from the inner workings of these rosters and why they come and go, and I can give a bit more insight on that. So I think the number one thing, we have a couple of points. We're going to go through a couple of points. We're going to talk about, what actually matter, roles, culture within the team, values, the hurdles that these super players have over, and not to, like, call out any teams in general, but fighting a blitz. Bum. Okay. Don't blow that, please. But I think people, first of all, they like value the wrong things when they look at like how talented an individual player is, right? Like they'll call players super rosters if they assemble a team of a bunch of players that were basically superstars on their previous team. So why is that an issue? So let's say you have a bunch, like you have 5 different teams, and on each of those 5 different teams, you have players that drop like 25 kills a game every single game, and they're just hard carrying all of those teams. And the natural response for like the most casual viewer is like, I'm gonna take all 5 of those players that drop 25 kills each on every team, and I'm going to put them together on one team, and that's going to be the greatest team ever assembled in the history of the game. And I think that scenario almost never works out because people are overvaluing one metric of a player, right? Like in that scenario, people equate kills to essentially how good the player, or like what they contribute to a team and what they contribute to winning, when in reality it gets a lot more dilated like that, right? So like let's take the realistic scenario that you have a bunch of players that drop 25 kills a game on every single game they play, and they're all the superstar of their team, and you smack them all together into one game. What's going to happen is none of them are going to drop 25 kills anymore. Why? Because there's only so many kills to go around, right? And every round there's 5 kills to get, and then you have to divide that among your teammates, and now you have a bunch of different talented superstars all competing for those kills in their own way. I think one of 2 scenarios happens when you typically do this, right? One is that everyone's performance is just going to go down, right? Because there's not enough kills to go around. Not everyone can drop 25 kills if everyone on the team is like vying for those kills. And what happens, you'll have some people who drop 5 kills a game, some people drop 10, and some people will drop like 2, right? And then people will start saying, okay, what's wrong with this guy? He used to be a superstar. Let's drop this guy. Let's get rid of this guy. Let's go for the next superstar, which is just not the right mindset for building a team whatsoever. The other one is you have to sacrifice people, and these can go hand in hand. You have to sacrifice people to like make other people shine. And teams that have like a bunch of stacked superstars, you typically see like some players that used to be fraggers on teams, high fragging, high performance players on other teams, get slammed onto like hard support, hard shield roles, etc. And you just like slap them on that role, you force them there into an uncomfortable role that they have to learn now, never played before, and they have good aim or whatever, but it doesn't translate. They don't have any of the traits necessary for that role, and they just shit the bed, and then the next season you're calling for that player to get dropped. This constant mindset of like, okay, this guy needs to get killed to get dropped. Because in sports, people are a lot more in depth. They're much more in tune with the roles of players in sports. You're not gonna fucking go into soccer and be like, well, these 5 players score a quintillion goals and put just 11 strikers on the same team in soccer and just expect one of them to play goalie and half of them to play, you know, defender. It's not gonna fucking work. They're strikers, right? But it doesn't translate. People don't seem to translate that concept to like video games for some reason. They're like, oh, this guy's not getting fucking kills. He must be dog shit, you know? I gotta just walked in this side, did I? Is there a guy in here?
You got drug side.
Oh my god, I almost fucking whipped on the guy. He's on a dragon door. Like in football, right? If I take like, I don't know who gets the most glaze in football. People like criticize me. American football, not like soccer anymore, not European football. Like, you're not gonna take a quarterback. Like let's say quarterbacks get the most fucking glaze in the game, right? Let's say like they're the ones like, oh, this quarterback's always a superstar. I'm pretty sure they're always a superstar. You're not gonna take fucking 10 quarterbacks, put them on a team, and be like, oh, you play O-line, you play D-line, and that's going to be a successful team. What really you think is a stacked roster is not very stacked in terms of what is actually required to win. Because maybe, and I'll talk about this more during the section we'll talk about roles, but maybe 4 of the players are on their previous team were not performing. One of their players was dropping 25 kills a game, and these guys, you were like, wow, they're shit. These guys were probably doing something intangible to help enable this guy to go new. And now you have 5 players who are all kill hungry, that all do the same thing, hunt for kills. And I'm not saying this is like SR or any of the teams I talked about, but this is an example, right? 5 players that are all kill hungry, that all want to basically go for the kills, that do nothing to set each other up, but their main skill is getting set up by other people to mop up the kills and finish the game. They're not doing it within the actual game themselves, and they're no longer being enabled in the same way. They're no longer being supported in the same way. And because of that, they're no longer getting the same openings they were in previous games with the same amount of kills. Former OXG post stream and Fox at OXG. Yeah, OXG was a team that got top 3 at Invite and had 2 support players that basically would never put up numbers. They dropped both of those support players for like a pure roster of just like gunners, fraggers, and shooters, which is what like most of the casual audience would actually go for picking when they're forming a team. And you only see that in like casual and ranked. You see that in like T3, T4, is that they always try to pick up a roster of just as many shooters as possible. And it basically just never works out unless one of those shooters somehow figures out within themselves that they have the inherent ability to IGL or calm or place support or open walls or whatever. It just usually never works out. And so what ends up happening is people have the wrong idea, the wrong definition of individually stacked. Like, let's say you require, and I'm gonna go into here to do it. Hopefully fucking I don't die in the game. Let's say a team requires trait A, trait B, and trait C to succeed. And a successful team looks like this, right? But let's say you get a bunch of just super high performing fraggers, then you're gonna get, okay, player 1, he has trait C, a lot of the fragging power. Player 2, he has a lot of the mop up power as well. Player 3, you know, he has more of this and a little bit of this. And player 5, you know, like all the way, they just have a bunch of trait C. And it's like, what? This is a really unbalanced team composition, you know? Just really, really unbalanced team composition that just doesn't make any sense. And then you're stuck scratching your head as a casual viewer. Well, why aren't they performing? Well, there you go. That's why. So, oh my fucking god, I'm the greatest. Help me, dapper. I am in break room. So the first question you need to ask yourself is this roster really stacked? Like, do I have a really good support player? Do I have a really good IGL? Do I have a really good util glue player? Do I have a really good, you know, lurk? Do I have a really good player that fills in what the team needs to enable the other players to perform? And oftentimes when asking that question, you start to realize, like, hey, this team is not as stacked. And the previous team was actually, the system the previous team held was more beneficial for success than the one the quote-unquote super team has. Yeah, so the other one is also just like kill inflation. like typically it's a lot easier for a player on a super shit team to get a bunch of kills, because think about it that way, like you're just gonna mop up all the kills if your teammate's not able to do it themselves. Like there's two scenarios. One is everyone enabled you on that team. Two is the team's not good enough, right? And I call it kill inflation or performance inflation, where you'll look really good on a shitty team, but the moment you start working in a real team where people actually do real roles and you go against real opponents that you can't just farm kills against, then this is ace. I think I just aced that round. I just got 5 kills. Holy fucking shit, I'm going nuke this casual game while I'm ranting about this. Yeah, that's what I like to call kill inflation. So there's also that factor where, like, there's a certain set of players who will just, they'll do super well whenever they're on a low placing team, but you'll immediately see the performance go down the better their team is. That's the first section of this rant, which is the roster actually as stacked as you think it is? The second portion of the rant is we're going to talk about is roles, because I think this plays into the next one. Is I don't think people really truly understand what roles mean in any game. And I think one of the best explanations of this is people are always like, whenever they look at superstars these days on Rainbow Six teams, they're like, why is Stompin' on Thermite? Or like they look at old Bolo clips, or like, why did you put Bolo on SMG 11? And it's like, dude, have you not been watching the game whatsoever? Like, Stompin' has always been on support for the majority of the time he's been on G2. Bolo has always been on kind of flex support for the majority of the time he's been on TSM. These are just the natural roles that they play. Like, that is the roles that they play on their team. You haven't been watching, but in your head, because you think they're the superstar player, they need to be on, like, entry frag. Like, everyone thinks that, like, the most famous player or the best performing player should always be on entry frag, and the worst performing player should be on site. And that's, like, the understanding of roles to, like, the majority of gamers, which is, like, absolutely the worst understanding of the game ever. Right, because think about it this way: if you put, you know, a guy who drops 20 kills every game on Ashe, but that guy drops 20 kills by baiting outside, waiting outside the building, 1v5 every round, and he gets his 20 kills by just baiting, just like sitting outside the building, just like mopping up the kills, cleaning up the guy that like aggresses at the very end of the round, doing nothing, baiting. That guy's not entry fragging. So the team's not going to win. He might drop 20 every game. The team's never going to win. You're never going to win any games because you don't have the guy making space, accomplishing the job for the team. Is your 20 kill Ashe really an entry fragger if they're last alive outside the building every single round? I don't fucking think so. Right? So, like, that's at the rank level of roles. Now, imagine that at a pro league level where people won't even understand anymore, especially in terms of how consistency works in the game. Like, one of the biggest complaints I get about G2, which is, like, you know, Stompin's team, which is also a pretty, like, super roster, in my opinion. They have 2 world champions, world champion IGL. They have Loira, that's just insane Brazilian gunner. They have Doki, one of the best entry fraggers in the world. That guy's a pussy. And Loira was like 1v3 clutching and just, you know, demolishing people when they got to like grand finals at EWC, right? Loira was going absolutely nuke. I can actually, yeah. So at the Esports World Cup where they got 2nd place, Loira was a 1.2 rating behind Stomp at 1.23 rating, and he was going nuke and he was clutching up rounds, insane rounds to get them round wins. And then at the next major, Loira got a 0.93 rating and was a lot more disappointing. And people were like, "Oh, the problem is he's so inconsistent. Like everyone on that team is holding Stompin' back. Stompin's always at the top. He's got a 1.2 rating every single time." Like, dude, Stompin' is on a slow mailbox roll. And Loira's the one fucking sprinting into the building from a random angle. No drones, no help. Maybe like 1 drone help, but not even like supported entry. He's a solo lurk trying to find a gap into the building, like going for kills. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Dapper, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, of course that guy's gonna be fucking inconsistent. Like, and of course Stompin's gonna be consistent because he's on the refrag. He's getting the kills. So like, one example, my in-game example is, imagine on my old team, I'm with Dapper. Dapper's on shields, and I'm like the superstar of my old team. And as a superstar of my old team, me and Dapper always entries with a shield in for me to get me info and for me to kill people. So Dapper's just gonna call out. Call out.
Oh, he's on the door.
Yeah. And Dapper's just fucking entering for me. He's calling vert for me. He's making sure I don't die to shit.
I'll just plant low key. Watch out for capkins.
And then we have the site, and I... Huh? For real?
My middle?
I'm watching. Yeah, and Dapper's just doing this. And then Dapper goes And because he's sacrificing his life for me to, like, get kills, go run to this guy dapper and die. Just unshielded. Just actually, I don't know. Where the fuck is this guy? Where the fuck is this guy? Okay, never mind. Okay, but anyways, point being, let's say, yeah, like, let's say Dapper is on a shield, right? On my old team, and he goes in every single round, and he calls out every single enemy for me, and then I walk in, and I fucking drop 20 fucking kills a game just off him doing that. Okay? And this guy, because he's on a shield, he's in the shits all the time. He's not going to be gun up. He's there to be a call-out machine. He's on the shields, basically giving up playing a gun every single game, and he goes 0 and 10 every single game. And the general public, what the fuck are they going to do based off that information? Right? Like, they're going to tell that, oh, go drop Dapper. He's so fucking useless. He's on shields every single round. He's so fucking useless. And then, like, not even, like, the shield players are usually, like, support play. Like, oh, there's another half. What about the other half? The shield players are usually playing support on the other half, right? What do support players do? You're on Echo or Smoke. You hold a C4 or, like, an Echo drone, and you wait till the end of the round where you use the Echo drone or the Smoke to stop the plant. Or you're on Tachanka. You're on Tachanka shooting fires, right? Like, Stompin's first couple of games on bank defense were on Tachanka shooting fires, or on Layer, his first ever game was on Smoke. He had horrible defense hats. He went like 0-5 on those defense hats because his entire job was to not shoot anyone until the end of the round, where he shoots like 5 smokes, 5 Chankas, 5 fires, 5 C4s, and he wins the round by just denying plant. That is the job of a support player at the end of the round. They're going to go 0-10 every single time, and the guy's going to drop 20 kills, and people are going to be like, wow, this guy's 0-10. What a fucking problem. And then they're going to be like, oh, this guy needs a better team. Okay, so guess what? Your 20 kill player that was following in the Montaigne every single round, second frag, behind the guy that was giving his life for the team, giving callouts, is going to now go onto a super team where no one knows how to do that. And now he has to walk in behind nobody, where his kills are no longer being set up in any of the way it was set up before. Now he doesn't get any kills. And now the team doesn't win. So, roles are so incredibly important, not only in terms of like making sure people are enabled, like it is actually like how you, but also in assigning people roles that enable them, right? Like any group of honest to God, mediocre players, or just above average players you can find, you could probably make an extremely successful team out of them if you're able to just assign them the correct roles. There's people on this fucking hatch over here. What the fuck? Oh my god, I don't even have audio all the way up, so I died. In fact, that's actually exactly what I did with my Beast Coast rosters. We switched around roles until we fucking started winning everything. We were 0-3, we switched around roles, and then we went undefeated in AL League, and we were at the bottom of the Pro League, went into undefeated in the Pro League. After that, we won first place, and we won the Manchester Major within our first ever stage of being a team. No chemistry needed to build over time or anything. A lot of people like to say chem like they understand what that word means. Bro, if a team's been over together for over like 6 months, they have chemistry. Like that's the most amount of chemistry they could possibly build. There's no natural chem with anyone. You build it by practicing and creating a system for your team where everyone is enabled to the max. And that's like the hard part of esports, is that how do you enable everyone to the max? It comes down to everything. How do you make everyone feel the most comfortable and the most enabled on every single role where they can contribute the most to the team? Because if you have 5 people that are just enabled and just contributing to the team, that is the best version a team can be. The most amount of ideas melding and meshing perfectly, and that's really hard to do. And typically you'll see systems, what ends up happening with teams is that they'll lose someone, right? They'll lose someone. They'll go down to 4 and they'll get a new player and just try to slot them into the ghost of what the former player's exact position is. But this guy is 20% of your 5-man team. He's a pretty big fucking number. So when you slot him in and you try to just make him into someone else, someone who he's not, you're not maximizing him, and your team's only playing at 80% efficiencies. And a lot of teams typically shaft player performance. They'll shaft 1 player so that 4 other players are enabled, or they'll shaft 2 players so that 3 other players are enabled. And that's typically how like most teams go, and that's why they'll never achieve their true potential. Look at M80, the recent Munich Major champions, a team that I put together a year and a half after we won the major. They won, and look at the ratings: 1.0, 1.03, 1.07, 1.07, 1.8. No one's a fucking brilliant, outstanding star, extrapolar extraordinary superstar. Everyone's just consistent on a role they play. And that's why, like, I'm honestly quite frustrated with the amount of hate that the other G2 members get, because, yeah, like someone is in the chat, Alamau is a genius. He's one of the best IGLs in the world. Yeah, you need support players. Like, you need people who will enable the other players, who will do their jobs. Like, you need defenders in soccer, like you need goalies in soccer, like you need, you know, big burly people in fucking football to, like, tank shots on the D-line. You need fast people running. You need a guy with a good arm and good coordination and good vision to throw the ball, right? It's just like that simple. And like, you need external outside traits like communication. And it's like, typically, like, a lot of superstar fraggers, when they come up and they're developing, they don't develop their comms, they don't develop the professionalism or comms or attitude ever. They're just used to, like, being completely quiet and getting, like, a quintillion kills, and they'll never develop traits like communication, which helps set up your teammates, right? And, like, what's gonna win more? What's gonna win more consistently in the long run of things? You know, one guy, you putting this guy on a fucking solo island because he's a superstar, and the enemy team who knows how to perfectly coordinate and 3-2-1 triple swing him every single time. Like, they'll never miss a gap on the refrag. Like, this guy's not gonna be able to kill 3 people perfectly all at the same time simultaneously. You see multi-kills is because the enemy team fucked up the refrag. If an enemy team has a perfect refrag, no matter how good your player is, they will lose. But if this guy knows how to fucking calm, yo guys, help me, you know, come get me, I'm gonna play here, I'm gonna play to die, you guys come help me. Then they get a teammate in, then they get another teammate in, then it's 3v3 against the 3 people they were going against, then they can play for even trade, then they use their communication and vision in order to make the fucking round win happen. There are intangible traits outside of the shit you see happen in the game that make you an indispensable player or not, and make you a team unit. Like, think about a team that all plays for themselves and doesn't give their life for the cause and all bait for kills. They're gonna play overly individual and they're just not gonna win shit, right? And like, that's why Canadian has won on 3 different teams across 3 different eras on 3 S-tier world championship level events, because even though he has a 0.9 lifetime KD, like, some of the greatest players in our game, Licky Feck, Canadian, Fabian, like, they are all IGLs. And Fabian and Canadian have, like, terrible KDs. And that's because they bring so much more to the team than just kills. But obviously, no one wants to fucking see that. But speaking of intangibles, this is where I'll go over the third and final thing that is most important to, you know, any team succeeding, that I do think a lot of super teams end up lacking, which is a team's culture, their values, and the amount of passion and dedication they truly put into their craft. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna need the shield. Oh, I'm gonna need the shield. Okay. I mean, oh my god, he was prone under the fucking window. These 3 words matter so much, infinitely more to a team than quite literally and quite possibly anything else. And that's why when superstars come up in the sport, I'll look at their, you know, mechanics or whatever. Yeah, fine. People love watching mechanics. People love seeing whether someone's nasty, but no one, like, the number one thing I always want is for them to have the drive. The most important thing is whether or not they have the motivation to be consistent and grind, and they fucking love the game more than anything else, and they're willing to, like, fucking bleed for this shit. Like, when I built my roster, the number one requirement I had for it was I wanted people who would bleed for this shit, and any of my friends could tell you that's what's necessary. How much are you truly willing to sacrifice to win? Are you truly willing to put aside all your fucking beef and everything else to fully win? How much of yourself are you willing to put aside to win? Because that is a true definition of professionals. It's not just show up on time. It's not just yada yada yada. Like, it's not just this fickle thing that everyone's like, oh yeah, you gotta be a nice and respectful person, and it's such an unimportant thing. Like, no, being mature, being professional is truly the utmost important thing, because there have been so many players that have just been disgusting, that have just been like the next coming of, like, Jesus fucking himself, like the Messiah mechanically, and just ruin teams because of how much they hold back their team with their culture, their passion, and their attitude. Like, straight up, like, sleepy. Like, think about it. If you pull up to practice every single day, like, and there's a guy on your team just sleeping through practice or just like shitting on you for your mistakes every single day, you're not gonna fucking feel good playing. You're not gonna want to practice with this guy. You're not even wanting to show up. And a team that doesn't even want to show up or like each other, they're not even gonna win on game day. It doesn't matter if your superstar's dropping 20 kills a game. If they nerf the 4 other players in their team, your team is a worst team overall. And there's been so many players, like, I think, like, I'll just name drop one because he doesn't play anymore. But there's a player named Sweater on OXG. They got top 3 at Invite. This guy was performing out of his fucking mind. Let me tell you, this guy was one of the most prodigious players ever. He was the fucking future. He was like stomping before stomping. Let me tell you, this guy was fucking crazy. Everyone had high hope for him. You know, the first thing when I was building my new team and I got asked about him, and I thought, you know, he's really good. Maybe I will get him. The first thing that the former teammate of Sweater told me, the former IGL, not the former IGL. Who the fuck was it? I actually don't remember. Well, regardless, former teammate of Sweater told me, yeah, that's a good guy to pick up for your team if you don't like practicing because he sleeps through so many practices. So the number one thing for teams is the team culture. Like, have you established a team culture that works for everyone, where everyone holds each other accountable, where everyone's enabled and feels the most comfortable? Because team culture, the values you assign are going to be different from every team you play on. Yeah, sure, there's a bunch of, like, don't do's and every team cannot do. Like, they have to speak to each other with respect. You cannot speak to your teammates with disrespect, because think about it this way: if I start an argument with my teammate every single day and they fucking, like, argue with me, and this is why, like, side note, I had a recent short that go on, a guy on the stream asking me, you know, if, you know, why is it better to be mature for winning? Like, why does it matter for winning? It's just like, it shouldn't have to do anything with winning because you just need to shoot people, right? No, bro. Being mature is everything for winning, because if I criticize someone in a way that makes them want to argue back or get defensive, instead of just saying, like, hey, man, can you do this for me next time? I call them a fucking dumbass. I say some fucking wicked shit to them, and they're like, they're tempted to respond in a more derogatory way and argue me. Then they just went, we lost the round. We went into the next round arguing about it. We just wasted like 30 seconds into the next round then I wasted the next round, right? Because the round ended. We go into the next round and we're arguing instead of talking about the next round and what to focus on. So the next round gets wasted, right? And let's say I do this 4 rounds per scrim. 4 rounds per scrim, and there's 12 rounds per ever scrim in Rainbow Six Siege. Holy fuck. And then because I waste the next round, I just wasted 2 rounds. We just wasted 8 rounds per map. And then 8 rounds per map, I fucking just do 3 maps a day. I just wasted 24 rounds per day, per block of scrims, not per day, per block of scrims. If I double scrim every day, that's 48 rounds wasted. That's 4 maps of rounds just wasted because I'm an immature piece of shit. And then I do that for 6 days a week. You already know that's like a little less than 300. Basically 300 rounds of practice just wasted that could have been spent getting better, improving, doing literally anything else. This tweet is like the perfect fucking representation of this. And this was like, basically what happened was like a T2, T3 player, whoever, canceled a scrim on a pro team. And Super, who was the coach of SR, the team we're talking about earlier, responded this to them. And it was kind of like a joke. People took it as a joke, like a copy pasta. But in my eyes, it's like real. He says, the difference between people usually isn't skill. It's either having it or not. You think blowing off a scrim is no big deal. Blowing off a round or a map, no big deal. Until you do it once a month, once a week, once a day, until you realize you've blown off your entire career, which never got started because you tell yourself you want it, but you don't have what it takes. So many people that I've personally seen come and go, again, do the same thing. They say they want it. They say they can do this. They do all that. But they don't have it, like Super said. And ironically, now here's the thing. I want to preface this with, you know, I think Shopify Rebellion, they had a rough last event, but I think they've done overall well for being a brand new team at the start of the year. For this entire year, I think they're still one of the top players in the top teams in the world. I think they have some of the best players in the world at what they do. I actually think they have quite a balanced team composition, all team things considered. But if you put a gun to my head and you were a fan of Spoit and you were like, wow, Spoit's such a fucking big superstar, like, why doesn't he win more? Why is Spoit's history filled with teams that can't seem to really find chips? Because it's not like he's winless, you know? Like, his first ever event which was the blast or the 6th major 2022, in his rookie stage, he won. He's one of 3 rookies to ever win their first event. Diffuser, LickyVac, and him are the only 3 to ever do it. And then ever since then, he went on M80, and it just seems like at S tier events, they can't seem to close the gap all the way. You know, like 6th, 15th, 16th here, 17th to 20th here. Playoffs here, but SR, same thing, 12th through 14th place, Munich Major. Well, gun to my head, if I had to say what was holding Split back, I would just be saying, you know, content, right? Like, and I'm not even saying this from a position of like, oh, you know, he needs to quit content. No, bro, he's making like tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from content. If I asked you guys to quit that, 99 out of 100 of you guys would not quit that to have a slightly higher performance in game. His focus is not all the way on the game. It's not a hard thing to say. It's not a wrong thing to say. He's still one of the best players in the world, without a doubt. He's still an insane player, without a doubt. He still has an incredible amount of talent, without a doubt. But it's like what I do. Like, I do a PhD and this YouTube shit and this Twitch shit, and because I'm doing a PhD at the same time, I don't have the fucking time in the world to just focus on streaming. I swear to God, if I didn't do my PhD, I'd probably be like double the size I am now, because I'd be streaming every fucking day. I'd be putting my heart, mind, and fucking soul into this shit, doing nothing but this, or I'd probably still be competing out there winning chips. But I don't have that anymore. I don't have that fucking fire or passion in my heart anymore, and that's why you like, that's the most important factor, is the drive. And oh my fucking God, that new DMR is actually insane. But like, I remember at the event on stream with Bolo and Dapper, if you could play this clip, Spoit said like, oh, trying to schedule co-streaming at an event you're playing at is so incredibly hard because it's like you're playing to lose. Now, obviously, I know he's saying this as a joke, right? But Bolo was like, okay, so then why don't you just not lose? And then Spoit says, but the money though, right? Like, which is true.
It's hard to kind of like, oh, can I get a co-streaming in case I fucking lose?
Yeah.
Like, you can't really go like that, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And then and everything is like in advance, right? Like all of these setups.
Well, I got a solution maybe. Don't lose. Just
Oh,
don't lose.
Well, then I don't get the co-stream.
Just don't fucking lose.
I've had multiple creators tell me like, co-streaming at these events will get you tens of thousands of dollars a day because of the drops and just letting the stream run on and on. If you're a popular streamer, it's just fucking insane because people will just sit in your stream and farm ads for the money. But think about it this way, like, if you go into an event and you're thinking about co-streaming at the event that you're playing at, your mind, even like I know he's joking, or I hope he's joking, like, your mind's not all the way there. Your mind's not 100% focused on winning because there's a thought of you need to lose. Like, and I know he's not playing to lose. Obviously, he's not playing to lose. No one's gonna play to lose. But you're not 100% on winning. You're not, I don't give a fuck about co-streaming because I'm gonna win this whole shit. You're like, okay, I'm gonna try my best, but if I don't, I get a co-stream and make a bunch of money, right? And like, no one would say no to that because it's so much fucking money. It really is so much money, but it really truly is the difference. Like, gun to my head, you would tell me why Spoit doesn't have like 7 rings, because honest to God, like, Spoit, love the dude, great guy, like, insane player. He has the talent to have like 14,000 chips. Honest to God. Like, not like one of the 3 rookies, 2 of the 3 rookies. First, all 3 of those rookies that won an event in their first ever stage are insane. Diffuser's a 2-time major champion now, with M80 winning with the same core, which is one of only 2 teams have ever done that in history, Furia and M80, if you're not counting Pro League Finals for OG2. Then if you do count it for OG2, then you count other events, and a couple other things like Empire and OG2 have done it. But still, like, history. LickyVac is one of the best, if not the best, IGL, like, in the world right now. He's gotten 2nd place at a bunch of events, sure, but that's like insane consistency, you know? And like, Spoit is insane. He has a 1 million subscriber YouTube channel, and he's insane for the grind that he goes through every day to bring content from you guys, and he's superhuman for that. No one realistically should be able to do that, but he does, and he still performs at a very high level. But can you imagine if he like sacrificed all that and he focused only on the game? I guarantee you he'd have like he'd have fucking a hammer by now, right? Like, for sure. I'm not even focused on the game because I'm talking about this bullshit. Dapper will show me the way. Dapper plays super aggressive. Look. And that's why, like, and like, gun to my head, I would say, like, that's probably why, you know, Stompin's team is placing higher than Spoit's team these last 2 events. If I were to just look at these 2 players individually, what are they doing different to produce different results? Because they both have crazy stacked rosters with former world champions on them. Stompin gave up fucking $100,000 a month streaming career to play Pro Siege. Bro, he is not even making, I guarantee you, he's not even making like 10% of what he used to make when he used to stream and make content on YouTube. But you barely see Stompin stream anymore. You like, let me see the Twitch stats on this. Stompin Twitch stats. Yeah, like, look at before he went pro, and then like the moment he went pro and around like June or wherever the fuck it was, like, just nothing. You know, and EWC happened here, and he had some streams in December, but then nothing, right? Because he's grinding. He left his home and his family in a world that he was comfortable with everyone, you know, all his friends and whoever around him, and he sacrificed that in order to go for the win. Oh my fucking god, what's wrong with are these the servers? But like, obviously, 2 insane players, 2 nuts players. I mean, still the best players in the world. I respect them both greatly. I'm pretty sure that's C9's coach, actually. Oh my fucking god. Oh, there's 2 mirrors there. Dead. So if I were, like, if you forced me to give you a reason, then, looking for SR fans, then I would say that's why. But, like, dude, like, you guys cannot say, like, you guys would be able to give the same things. Like, when I won, like, literally the teams I were coaching were, like, last place before I got my Beast Coast roster. And when I finally got the good roster, I did a couple of other things as well. I was making $7,000 on TikTok as pro Chinese guy, if you guys remember that. I was dressed up at Grim, do an Asian accent, make $7,000 TikTok a month, become financially independent in college, no longer need my mommy. I would do that full time as well, alongside my coaching. I gave that up on the stage that we won everything, the next stage, you know? And like, then after we won everything, I was focused on my PhD. I didn't have all the fire in me anymore because my mind was on my PhD now. So then we fucking lost EWC quals when I was still on the team. It's like, it's not a tough, I'm not flaming anyone. I'm just saying, like, that's a cycle of life. Like, the amount of fire you have for something is the amount of fire you have. Going back to the team culture thing, however, though, like, if you look at, you know, Falcons, for example, are also basically, I would think they're a super team. They have the best player on basically each role. If you look at the team, what do you even do to fix it? Because they've gotten second place of, like, 5 S-tier circuits in a row, or four events, Ubisoft events in a row now. Major, SI, then major, they've got second place. Let me pull up Shaiko's Wikipedia. Second. He won EWC, but second, and like, he just wins every single EWC. So I mean, that's just Shaiko's thing. But if you look at like the footage of him playing in those grand finals every single time, there's like dread. It's like, if you look at that first grand final against Beast Coast, like the Beast Coast dudes, we were smiling, we were having fun. The other team, they were like getting mad at each other after every single round they lost. And then even most recently at the Munich Major, when they rematched against each other, BDS or Falcons now, or Shaiko's team now, they had a great team culture going into the grand finals, because every game before that they were howling like wolves, they were smiling, they were laughing, they were having a fucking blast. And then going into like the grand finals, they seemed like the stress actually got to them, and they were back in that same mental place they were before. And still, like, grand finals, 5 grand finals in a row is still the most insane consistency I've ever seen out of any team, besides teams, dynasties that win everything, right? That is like the next step right below the 2 dynasties, Furia and OG2, is that triple, like quadra grand finals, quintuple grand finals that they seem to get all together. My only issue with the argument is, why is the SR with the other superstars on the roster ambi? We can say about Spoit content making the issue. No, but I'm just saying, like, for Spoit fans asking me about Spoit individually across multiple different teams. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like you see, it's still an insane level of consistency, and they're still the best. But that's not a skill issue. That's like a mental issue. That's a character issue. That's a team culture issue. That's an intangible that cannot be controlled. And it's something that, like, all these intangibles, people always talk about them, but they don't realize how optimal or inoptimal they are for winning. Because think about it this way, like, if you're a team that has fun every round, no matter win or lose, then you minimize negative momentum and you maximize positive momentum. Every single win you get powers you up more and more and more, and then every single loss you take, you brush off your shoulder like it was nothing. Whereas if you're a tilting team, then every single negative momentum thing magnifies over and over, and you get chalked more and more, and you tilt more and more and more and more and more, and then every single win you get doesn't even really matter because you're already tilted and you're not, like, you're disappointed with yourself in the first place. You know, so a lot more matters in terms of traits that makes a team individually stacked, and you don't get to see a lot of teams that are individually stacked in terms of, like, the teams that are often individually stacked in terms of mentality, team culture, and character. These are the ones that are typically the ones that win and win for a long time. I mean, Fabian talked about it in the Reason 6on6 podcast, where he literally just rambled every single time I talked to Fabian about his team. Every single time Fabian has talked about M80 in interviews, and now 2-time major champions, he's always talked about hard work, hard work, hard work. He never talks about these guys are so nasty, these guys are so incredibly good. The main thing he says is they work so hard. They work so hard and they're professional, and we set a team culture that is based on professionalism and attitude. And he even shared a document, which I can pull up right now, actually. I can pull up this document right now. Give me a second. Like, he showed me this document at Reload, and then he also he just gave it to us on 6on6 to show the world that, like, this is the day one thing he did together with the team. And this is the guy who has won a major and an SI as a coach, and a major and 2 SIs as a player. He was part of the original G2 dynasty. And to him, the most important thing was hard work and legacy. So I'm going to take it from the guy that has literally won everything there is to win across multiple teams, who is unanimously the greatest all-around leader in Siege history, the God Emperor. I'm going to take it from that guy who knows what the fuck is going on. That culture is the most important thing. But yeah, I hope you guys like these kind of videos, or I'm just playing casual and ranting. I mean, I personally love it because that's when I get to spend time with Dapper, and that's just what I like to do streaming. I don't think it's sustainable for me to stream like actual pre-recorded videos, other than, like, you know, I don't think it's like sustainable for me to do my PhD like fucking script out videos anymore. I just want to kind of go like on a mindless, numb fucking ramble. I guess the last thing I will say is that, like, honest to God, when people say, like, SR is, like, this most insanely individually stacked roster, I actually don't even think that's true, even within the NA. I actually think SSG is the most insanely stacked roster. Like, if you saw the fucking plays these guys were making, I'll show you a round after this round that they fucking did. I'll show you this shit. Just get back into Pro League. No, I'm doing my PhD, bro. But we love all your videos. Let's fucking go. Oh, put it up. God damn it. Okay, that gives me... Wow, there's 3 of them out here. I don't know why I went for the shield. Let me go ahead and show this. Look at this shit. In Montreal Major, 3-6, Fuse, 4v3, 4v2. They're going into the side to plant the bomb on the other side. Fuse puts the shit on the wall. Benjamin Master hops through, runs into a Fuse charge to get a triple kill down the hallway and win the round. Like, all of SSG's players have had a highlight play like that. Like, I swear to God they have. So, like, to be honest to God, like, SSG is the most individually stacked roster that actually can't seem to, like, figure out their team play or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just think, like, there's so much more that goes into these, the game and the esport and multiple esports, honestly, that a lot of people don't get to really appreciate. Like, you got, like, Duran on, like, in, like, League of Legends, who was, like, a player that apparently was, like, a shit-the-bed top laner on multiple different teams for a while, and just can't seem to fucking, you know, get anything going on any other team. He joins T1 and instantly wants a world championship because probably they have a system that's meant to win, bro. They have a system designed there. They have a leader that knows what winning's all about, right? You got fucking Chovy, who people have been saying for the past fucking 30 years is the best mid laner in the world, better than Faker. He's the fucking future. But then he chokes at Worlds over and over and over, maybe because it just doesn't mentally fucking have it. And Faker fucking has what it takes to fucking win in those situations. It's not rocket science. Don't know how Bench's massive balls fit through that hole. I know, bro. It's not fucking rocket science. See, like, there's clearly, like, things beyond just what we see in the moment that create greatness. There's clearly systems and intangibles in place that create greatness, and how bad you truly want it truly contributes to that. I mean, like, we're talking about SRs, and I feel like I don't want people to come away with a negative feeling. Like, I think what Sploit's doing is absolutely insane. I don't think I could ever do that in my entire life. I'm doing that right now, I guess, with balancing PhD and content, but I could never do it with pro play, because it's just fucking insane to me. But, like, Troy on SR, for example, is a guy who's, like, just always VOD viewing. Like, I've heard stories that you'll just walk into a room at, like, 3 a.m. with him at an event in the team practice room and just find him in there, like, studying enemy footage. And that's how dedicated that guy's winning. That's why he won in 3 different eras and 3 different teams. You know, Bolo, when he won the SI, his fucking channel content slowed. Pojo can probably tell you firsthand, that guy didn't fucking post on YouTube basically at all. Like, that guy was fucking just sinking in the shits. I mean, you just gotta sacrifice and commit a certain amount. And that's what it takes. And to create cohesion on a team like that is so incredibly tough, but that's the beauty of sports. And I honestly like it that you can't just put a bunch of, like, superstars, quote unquote, and the public eyes slam them together and immediately achieve success. I'm really happy, actually, that is how competitive mediums end up, because there's so much more to winning and all of that. So I hope you guys learned something from this. I think this guy's on the vert, so I'm gonna peek him on the vert. $16 sport. Okay, sorry. In other esports as well. How about that? Did you like that better?